What is up, everybody? It's Sam, and we are back with a much-awaited episode of Pessimistic at Best, the podcast. I totally skipped a couple of weeks, and we're back and we're better than ever. It just kind of happened. Life got the best of me, as they say, and suddenly 1 week off turned into 3. C'est la vie, but here we are. I'm definitely happy to be back. It took me a little while to get my bearings. And you know what? That is okay. Truly, I have been so insanely busy this year. And you know what? I think it just kind of caught up to me. And some shit went down in my personal life. And that is just the reality of the situation. Life is messy. That is something I have learned. But I'm very excited to be back here recording another episode, and it's just going to be me today. It's just going to be me doing a little solo something because I felt like I probably owed you all that after having missed a few weeks. So we're just going to get into it. I've been doing a lot of reflecting over the last couple of weeks, which I feel like was a good opportunity to share with you all on this podcast. It's so funny. Over the last couple of weeks, I've had obviously people be like, hey, no new episodes. What's going on? Which is lovely. And I love that you guys are listening. And I love that you notice those things. That is actually amazing and so sweet. So, that does not go unnoticed. And that also is why I'm back here doing what I love, doing what I do best, which is talking, obviously. No, but I really did miss it. I'm not planning on doing that again to anybody where I skip 3 weeks unannounced. Yeah, I don't know. So that is a promise that I will make to you all. And so I have been doing lots of reflecting, and it's just funny. People will say things to me like, anytime I complain about something, everyone's favorite thing to say to me is, oh my God, fuel for the pod, save that for the podcast. So apparently no one ever wants to listen to me complain to anything in real life because they know they're going to have to hear it twice. But no, I get that. I really do. So anyways, here are a couple of the things that I have been reflecting on over the last few weeks that I have a feeling some of you will probably relate to, and not to get sappy or whatever. So, we don't have to go there, but I was just thinking, obviously after having, I would call it a little bit of a menty-b, you know what I'm saying? A mental breakdown. That's how it is. It's just what an actually ridiculous couple of years it has been. And it just really has. Obviously, the pandemic, right? That one's obvious. We're tired of talking about her. We don't want her to be in the limelight anymore. And I'm totally on board with that. But sometimes I feel like you have to go back and just kind of sit with that for a second and be like, no, this actually has been really insane. And it makes a lot of sense that this would be taking a toll, on my well-being. So that is something that we're dealing with. But, it's also just a crazy time in my life, right? Because I'm the absolutely totally cool and sweet age of 25. And the pandemic sort of snatched my early 20s away from me, especially my post-college years, which I feel are already a very ridiculous time to just be alive and doing your best because you don't know what's going on. You have a job for some reason, but you don't actually know what you want to be doing. A lot of your friends move away. You actually have bills that you have to pay for. And I don't know, it's all very stressful, right? So that's definitely something I'm experiencing. And I feel pretty lucky, to be honest. I like my job. I have a cool apartment. I actually do have money to spend for the first time in my life where I'm not insanely broke, but I had to figure out health insurance, which wasn't fun. I did my own taxes this year. I'm trying really hard to pretend that I'm an adult. And then I think sometimes the pretending catches up with me a little bit because truly inside, I feel like I'm probably still, 16, maybe 18. I don't fucking know. So that's definitely part of it too. And this would already be a crazy enough time to be going about our daily business. But then on top of that, we spent like 2 years inside. I can tell that it's affecting me in ways that I never really expected. I feel very lucky to say that I am someone that has never really struggled with like mental health issues up until this point in my life, which, you know, again, is something that is so stigmatized. And I feel like so many people go through it that it's like, you know, I don't even know, but it's something that I have not really experienced a ton of in my own personal life. And now I'm at this point where like I've spent so much time inside. I'm also not really taking care of myself in the way that I probably should. Making home cooked meals, again, something I don't love doing. So, you know, I avoid it at all costs. Not working out as much as I should. Probably not even like going literally outside as much as I should. So all things that could be improved upon. And then on top of that, you know, like, I don't know if it's because I live with my partner throughout all of this and we've spent an absolutely insane amount of time together, but like I've developed a very ridiculous codependency on James. Shout out to him because he's like literally such a trooper about it, but it's honestly just kind of crazy. Like the other day, I guess this was like a couple months ago now, I just remember very vividly there was this moment where I like needed to go to the post office to do a return, and I had been putting it off because I couldn't even bring myself to like run an errand alone. And then we were like going to my parents' house. It's been sitting in my car for forever, but James was with me. And so I was like, hey, can we actually just pull off and stop at the post office quick? And you guys, like, label was already packed, all of the things. I wouldn't even had to say anything to anybody. It was just a matter of going into the post office and dropping off the package in the appropriate place. And I like could not bring myself to do it. So then James and I are like driving past the post office and I was like, this is perfect. Let's just pull in. And I was like, you need to come inside with me. Like, I literally just need you to. I was like almost in tears. And even just thinking in my head, like, I'm not going to know where the bin is automatically. So I'm going to look stupid. It was like actually a little bit of a problem. I don't know. It was just like a little panic attack moment. And I've been having more of that where like I don't want to go to the grocery store alone. I don't want to do all of these little things. Not to mention work has been insanely stressful. I think working right now, period, is just like kind of crazy. There have been like many culturally significant moments these last couple of years that we have lived through. And then on top of that, you're just expected to go about your daily life and like go to work. And sometimes that feels ridiculous. I, for one, work in social media. I work in marketing. And sometimes that's like, I'm like, okay, nothing I actually do matters. And yet here I am just like click-clacking away answering emails. So, you know, existential crisis. I mean, all of the things, you guys, like literally. So this is everything that's been going through my head the last couple of weeks. And on top of that too, I mean, here I am. I've been just like complaining forever about how all of my friends have moved away, which is true and it's not. There are definitely, I still have a solid core group of people here in Madison as well. It's just like my best friends from literally when I was in middle school are all living all across everywhere now, which is something that is so normal for once you leave college and blah, blah, blah. This is kind of the time in life where that starts to happen. And I see all of my friends a good amount, but I guess I feel like I'm not always the best at like staying connected with people. I don't know, you know, it's one of those things where like, I don't always want to jump on the FaceTime, even though I just should, because every time I do it, I feel so much better and it's so great to reconnect with people and blah, 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 but life is busy. So sometimes it can be tricky to even just like bring yourself to do that. And then on top of that too, I have been feeling like social media has just been so overwhelmingly stupid in my life, like the role that it plays. I don't know. I like can't get a gram off. I don't know what it is. I'm like over it kind of, but at the same time can't put my phone down or look away. So, yes, I just think, you know, the little things have been adding up and then you feel disconnected from the people that you love, but you also like don't want to be on your phone because you're tired of the news. Beyond that, my entire feed is just like advertisements. I don't really know how we got here. So, you know, this is it. And I would say also working in social media does not help because that's all you do all day long. And then it's like, why at all would I bring myself to care about my own Instagram when this is all that I do for 8 hours a day? So, you know, this is how it is. And I've started the hunt for a therapist, which I have I've never really had long-term therapy help in my life before. And that's not something I ever really was on the search for, but it is now. I do think it would help. I just think it's one of those things where it can't hurt, right? I mean, and it's so, maybe not so normalized now, but I think it's getting a lot more normalized and destigmatized to seek help in that way. Of course, it is also ridiculously expensive. So I acknowledge the fact that, not everyone who probably needs this kind of help even has access to it, which is a whole nother issue. But yeah, it's something that I am kind of starting to dig around for. And I, of course, have heard that, shopping for a therapist is sort of the worst. So bracing myself for that. Definitely not looking forward to that piece of it, but we're here and we're doing it. Also may have to put this on pause because, of course, I started the hunt right before I'm about to make a large move to a new city in a new state, which affects things because you have to be able, as a therapist, it is my understanding that you have to be able to practice or be licensed or whatever in the state that your patients are living in and seeking help in. So more to come on that. But I think it's just one of those things where right now it is so hard to just be a person. And I don't know if anyone else is feeling that way, but that is really what all of this boils down to. Oh my God, it's literally so hard to be alive. And why didn't anyone tell me this? I grew up, I miss being a child when nothing mattered because this shit is for the birds. It really is. So, and I mean, I have obviously my impending move, although to be honest with you, James and I are pretty excited for that. But moving in general is stressful. So, my gosh, I don't know. It's just one of those times where I'm okay, am I going completely insane or is everyone feeling this because I actually can't tell? And I do think it's probably a little bit of both. So, and I think a lot of people have probably gone through similar phases of this throughout the last couple of years, especially people who are around my age, because again, regardless of the pandemic or whatever else, this is just a crazy time in our lives where you're trying to figure out who you want to be, what you want to do, where you want to live, and sort of reevaluating. But anyways, that was my long-winded way of saying your girl needed to take a few weeks off. And, podcasts had to go on the back burner a little bit. So, but I will say in this little time of reflection, I have also just done some reevaluating about the kinds of things that I care about a lot. And this podcast is one of them. This is my sweet little outlet for, well, essentially trauma dumping on all of you. So thank you so much for that. But seriously, I do love this podcast. I also just love being able to bitch about things with people because for me, that is how I have probably avoided therapy for as long as I have. I just complain about all of the hardships that I experience. And so, that has worked out really well for a long time now, but it is still okay to seek help. That is what I am understanding. So that's kind of where we're at. But all of that being said, I hope that you guys are well. I missed you terribly. And I'm very excited to be back on a regular cadence with the pod. And of course, it's the most wonderful time of year. So I cannot stop now because this is supposed to be the hopeful season. And to be quite honest with you, I feel things probably just dragged out a little bit because this cold weather, I mean, hello, it's literally May. We're supposed to be happy and warm now. And I think those last couple cool, chilly weeks here in Madison, Wisconsin, just whoop, tipped me over the edge. But with all of that being said, there are certainly some things that I feel this podcast is the perfect platform to complain about that that you guys have missed or that we have not had a chance to discuss over the last couple of weeks. So, of course, one of the big ones that stands out is all of this bullshit going on with Roe v. Wade. I don't even want to get into it because it makes me sick to my stomach, but I also feel I have no choice. This is one of those things where I just never in my life expected to see this happen. Because hello, all of the women before me have fought literally so hard to to basically consummate this into the law. And then here we are. And I just, like, there's truly nothing like watching your rights be stripped away from you. And we live in such a crazy time too, where like these things are happening. They're in the news. It's like in your face all day long. It's even being memed, which I don't know. It's like it's almost, I mean, it's just the digital age that we live in, so it makes sense. And like also political memes are probably what got me through like the Trump presidency, to be quite honest with you, because at least there's like a little bit of respite in that. But it also just feels like sort of crazy to have your issues be memed. And so there's like a little bit of a situation there, but I don't know. This was just not something ever in my life that I expected to see overturned or taken away, or even the discussion of it, quite frankly, because of course, you know, there's always some little like bubbling under the surface about this. It's a hot topic. There's lots of disagreement on either side, but I mean, it's one of those things where like I have always been pro-choice, because I don't understand how it is anyone else's decision. And of course, all you see is men, old white guys, who will never be affected by these changes, putting up a whole stink about it. So that's always fun. I mean, I feel lucky in many ways, of course. I have to acknowledge that I'm lucky to say that this is the first time in my life where something like this, you know, where my rights feel like they've been put on the line, because I know that that is not true for other marginalized groups. But yeah, I mean, it's very disheartening, and it feels very dystopian, and it feels Handmaid's Tale. It's giving Handmaid's Tale, and it's honestly really fucking scary. And that's the type of shit that's happening, where then I like have to just go to work the next day. Or, I mean, literally even for some of my clients, we're like having PR conversations about how to address this. And it's like, oh, it's too hot of a topic, so we can't, you know, no taking a stand. All of that stuff is just crazy. I mean, it's a crazy world that we live in. And then, yeah, you just have to go about your day. And sometimes it's like, why am I here when none of this matters? You know what I mean? But at the same time, I like love my job. So I'm not trying to, like, I straight up wouldn't want to be doing something else. But yeah, so that's something that has obviously been taking up a good amount of my brain power. And I wish that it hasn't, because of course it's one of those things where it feels like there's like not anything you can do, which is not true. And I would encourage you all to do your parts. I do have plenty of links that I'll be including in the show notes for different abortion funds you can donate to, Planned Parenthood, anything in Wisconsin. So I have some of those. Certainly, if you have money, fucking throw it at this cause. But also, you know, call your state representatives. So there are things that I have been doing, but it's just sad. Then it gets so much media attention. And then, of course, this is like happening on Met Gala night, and it's, you know, American themed, Gilded Age. Like, literally, we're going back there. So loving that for us as a society. So shout out to the girls, to the gals who are dealing with this, because it's the fucking worst. It truly is. And to anyone who can have babies or abortions. But yeah, that has been fun. Loving that for us. Literally doing everything I can to like ignore the news, which is also hard because I was like so absorbed in the news the last 4-ish years. Like almost to the point where I was obsessed. I just couldn't put it down. I was constantly getting in political arguments on the internet. Like it was like actually unhealthy and crazy. And I was sharing all of the resources I could. I felt like I couldn't stop talking about it. But like I felt like I needed to be doing that and be involved in order to have my voice heard and be saying something, because I just couldn't bring myself to be silent. But now I'm just at this point where like I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm tired of thinking about all of these things. And I mean, I feel guilty about that in many ways too, because of course it's a privilege to not be able to pay attention to the news. So much of that going through my mind at all times. But It's just, like I said, impossible to be alive. And I just, I don't know how it's gotten so complicated. And it's one of those things where I feel like we're living in a very politically tumultuous social climate and things seem very divided. I can't tell if it's always been this way or if I was just like a kid and I was naive and didn't have to pay attention to these sorts of things. Like, I truly don't know. But yeah, things just seem bad. And I think that that's kind of the general consensus, no matter which side you're on. But shit is a mess. Let's be honest. It just is. It's also not something that I can like get clear words out on because of how infuriating it is. It's hard to get the thoughts out. But we're tired, we're exhausted, and if it were really about babies or pro-life, we would be doing so much more to help the people who are already born, the people who already have lives. We would be doing things about gun laws. We would, have much better welfare programs, and we would be supporting people who had babies and had a hard time caring for them. And that's so not what this country is about, which is why that we're not pro-life. That's not what it is. It's just not. It's pro-birth, and it's really sick and fucked up. So, yes, that's just my 2 cents, but it has been exhausting watching the news. And yeah, we're tired of it. We really are. But what else? On like a more personal note, I've been having some phone issues, so I don't know. To lighten the mood, it is like such a pain in the ass to go and get a new phone, right? It always is. It always has been. I remember like going to the phone store, no matter what carrier I've had quite a few. My family and I have bounced around from like Sprint to US Cellular to Verizon. They all suck. It's not like actually one of them is better than the next. They all have terrible service. And I'm not talking cellular service, to be clear. I'm talking customer service. And like you go to the phone store, you're planning on getting a new phone, whatever it is, you need an upgrade, whatever. You're in there for 5 hours. You just are. There's no getting around that. Well, I've had a cracked phone for a really long time now. And like my screen repair was like almost $400. Like, it was just absolutely insane. Got it fixed. Of course, then the whole screen went dark. It was a whole thing. Some of you might remember from previous episodes of the pod. But now she's been cracked again. I cracked the repaired screen, of course. And I was like, I'm not paying again to get this fixed. It's just not worth it. And it was one of those cracks where like, is it my fault? Yes. But I had a screen protector on it and it cracked under the screen protector. So my actual screen completely cracked and then my screen protector was left unharmed. So loving that for her. Then James happened to like knock it off of the bathroom counter. This is a couple weeks ago now. She cracked a little more, as one does. So then like the front facing camera is all jacked up and it looks very crazy. It kind of looks like a sick little filter, but yeah, makes selfie taking hard, of course. Then just this last week, I knocked it off of my desk. Again, short falls. Like I don't know what it is. Those short falls almost seem to do more damage. Also, not to my credit, my apartment has cement floors. Completely shattered my phone. So now it's like really, really cracked. And then this fun thing happened to the screen where there's like this bright white line going down the center. So that's fun. So I was like, you know what? Fine. It's time for me to just get a new phone. I do have like an upgrade available through Verizon, whatever. So I would just have to pay off the remainder of this one and then I can upgrade. So went through this whole process. I am still on my family's phone plan, as us 25-year-olds often are. And so my dad had to like make me an account manager on Verizon or whatever. And just so that I could even have the capability to like purchase a phone for myself. So I tried to just order it. But I like wanted it immediately because I'm tired of having this cracked phone, and the options, either I could get it delivered or I could do in-store pickup, right? So in-store pickup, I looked at a couple of the locations. The one on Hilldale literally said that it had my phone in stock. So I was like, this is perfect. I'm going to my parents' house this weekend anyways. I'll get it then. This is going to be great. So I opted for that route. And then, of course, I got like a little email afterwards that said something like, processing your order and preparing it, which like, hello, what is there to prepare? You just like hand me the phone, right? If you have it in stock, that's how this works. So thinking I'm all set. And then, of course, this was at like 11 a.m. on a Friday. So planning to head to the west side. And I was like, well, it still doesn't say anything about my order being ready. Let me just call, because I was really hoping to get it same day. So I called them, and the guy had never heard of my order. He was like, well, what's your first and last name? What kind of phone were you looking for? He was literally asking me like, what size, what color? Like, these are things you should probably know, sir. That's how this works. So that should have been a red flag, right, from the start. But anyway, he was like, oh, well, we haven't gotten any shipments yet. So like your phone is not here and you can't pick it up. But we'll probably get it sometime this weekend or early next week. So like, of course, I'm bummed, but whatever. Like, I guess I can deal with my little stripe for a couple more days. Not a big deal. So each weekend I'm like checking the Verizon app religiously, trying to see if my phone is ready. And it just says preparing your order. So she was not ready. Then on Monday morning, I checked my phone and I had gotten an email from Verizon at like 11 p.m. on Sunday night being like, hey, we had to actually cancel your order because you never picked it up. We'll refund you. Excuse me? Oh my God, I was livid. So that's a big fat joke. I immediately called Verizon as soon as they opened, which was not until 10 a.m. And so I gave them a phone call. And I tried to put on my best, like, Karen-y, I'm mad at you voice. And I was like, listen, I never got an email that my phone was ready. You guys kept saying that it was preparing to order. Then I got an email that my order was canceled because I never picked it up. And I just feel like this is a scam. This is not fair. And on top of all of that, they only refunded me partially. So I was like, literally, what is going on here? Well, the man at Verizon was like, we don't see your order. There's no order history here. And he was like, but the rest of your refund should come in 72 hours. Which, like, why are we even splitting the refund up? Like, what? Verizon doesn't have the additional $97? Let me know. So I still haven't seen that money. It has been well over the 72 hours. But the next time I called, because I was maybe going to try and just place another order online, I was hoping to get the full refund first just to ensure that that did not get misplaced. But it's been a whole thing. And then I called back trying to figure out next steps. And of course, they're like, well, we can't help you unless you come into the store. And this was the whole thing that I was literally trying to avoid. I don't want to go into the Verizon store and waste 5 of my precious, precious hours in that hellscape. I mean, it truly is. It is my own personal hell, is a Verizon store. Oh, so yes, that is definitely another just stressor in my life. And like literally my cracked phone, I'm getting shards of glass in my hand and in my ears, which has been extremely fun for me. But it's just, I mean, it's like you literally can't catch a break. I don't know why it is so hard to get a new phone. It always is a huge, huge hassle. And it just seems like it doesn't need to be like this. And on top of that, I'm also dealing with the sort of thing where I'm out of storage. And I'm out of storage on like all of my devices. I even bought more iCloud storage, hoping that would fix things. But like, I don't know how to send things up there. And I am constantly out of storage. I never have room. And it's like, but I don't want to delete my photos. So what is the solution? And I've heard, I mean, obviously this is something that I don't fully understand, like what that storage is or does or what it means, but like I will buy as much of it as it takes because I'm only going to be adding more things. I would say I'm not like a hoarder in my real personal life, but when it comes to my iPhone storage, to photos, to those sorts of things, like that is, I need infinite space. And I'm just like wondering how much I have to pay to get that. That's what I'm wondering. So that's been another thing that I've actually been dealing with these last few weeks. Again, we are, I don't know. Light at the end of the tunnel is not yet in sight. I'm going to be honest. And the sad thing is when I ordered my first upgrade, my 13 Pro, I even ordered like a new phone case and a cute little phone charm, and they are here. And I refuse to go down and get them from the mailbox because I can't use them. I cannot put them to use. So they will sit down there until I get my new phone. And that is what I've decided. But it's just hard, you know? It's hard to get a new phone. Why it's so hard, we don't know, but it is. But anyways, those are just a few of the things that have been irking my nerves. Of course, different levels of severity and also, you know, personalness. But I wanted to share those with you, and we can have an open discourse about either topic. But I also wanted to round out this podcast with a few things that I am very grateful for, things that I'm looking forward to. We're putting an optimistic spin on things because I just feel like that is, at the end of the day, what this podcast is really about, and also what I need more of in my life. So, as much as moving sucks and is a huge fucking pain in the ass, I'm very, very excited for our move to Chicago. I feel like it's really starting to sink in. Work knows, so that's always one hurdle to jump over. But yeah, we've like shared it with the parents now, both sets of rents. And, you know, we're starting to tell friends. We don't have an apartment yet or anything, but it's just feeling a lot more legitimate, like it's happening instead of just kind of an idea. And I'm really excited for that. I'm just excited for a new chapter. I think we both need that, to be honest with you, and we're looking forward to it. Chicago, here we come. If you live there and you want to hang out with us, like absolutely please do. We're also looking for all the recommendations. So whatever you have for us, send it my way. But we're excited. I think we're just ready to switch it up. I love Madison. This has been my home for so many years. This is where my parents are. This is always where I will come back to. I actually will probably be back here quite a bit anyways because my HQ for work is here, and I will have to come back on a relatively frequent basis, but I'm just excited for something new. I think we both are, and that's just going to be nice for us. It'll be a good change of pace. Do a little city thing. So yeah, spend more money. I mean, what the hell? Why not, right? So I'm very much looking forward to that. And I'm also really looking forward to being able to travel a little bit more. We have some fun trips coming up. And specifically, my father is going on a very cool expedition with Sophia's dad. Shout out, Peter. My dad is newly retired-ish. He doesn't like to use that word because it sounds so finite, and he might, you know, who knows? Maybe he'll have a second life career. But he did quit his job. It was a long time coming. I think it was a difficult decision for him, and he's been working there for years. And now he's just like doing hella things around the house, having a blast. But he and Peter are going on a little excursion. They're doing the El Camino de Santiago in Spain. And I just think it's hilarious, but it's also very sweet, and I'm excited for them. And my dad hasn't really traveled a ton outside of the country. I mean, we have a few times, but I know that he's looking forward to that. I think it'll just be a good escape. And they're like doing the full backpacking thing, which is also funny because they're just like a couple of like 60-year-old guys. But I don't know. I think that's actually very inspiring. I'm like very proud of him. And I'm certainly excited to potentially plan a trip around it. So I know my mom and I are thinking about going out there to just like, I mean, here's the thing. My mom and I are not backpackers. So like we'll meet them in an actual city and stay in a nice hotel. But yes, I think that that'll just be sort of a fun thing. I don't think, I mean, the dads are spending 2 months overseas, which is a long time. I don't think my parents have probably spent more than like a week apart since, I don't even know, right? Like since they got married probably. So that's just kind of crazy, but I think it'll be fun to go out there. Sophia, if you're listening, we have to start planning a trip because we would love for you to come join us too. And yeah, we have a couple of other trips coming up. James and I are going to visit some of his family, and we're going to go out to Seattle and then Vancouver. And I've never really been to either of those places. I've wanted to go to Seattle for a super long time. And I literally don't think I've ever been to Canada, to be quite honest. So I'm looking forward to that too. Plus, I don't know, little trips like this. I think the really, really nice part about the new way that we work with remote working and hybrid work schedules and all of those things is that you can kind of take that time and be exploring a little bit more, which I will have to work on some of these trips because I do not have that much PTO. But yeah, it's kind of nice to just be able to pick up and work in a new place. So that's another thing that I'm grateful for sure. I'm also grateful for warm weather. It's starting to finally get nice here in Madison, which I mean, no matter what, it's always just like such a weight off the shoulders when the sun is out and you can finally like shed the winter jacket. So I am feeling like a little salty because I don't think we're going to get as much spring as I would like. We're just going to go from like a cold and nasty to like way too hot, which is what Madison loves. That's kind of what she's known for. But I am excited for that, and I just have needed this warm weather. I'm very much looking forward to a final summer in Madison because truly there is no better time to be in Madison, Wisconsin. Summer here is actually the best. So I'm like already thinking about all of my favorite things that I have to add to a little bucket list here to check off before the move. But I'm excited for those things. And I think it'll be just a nice way to round out our chapter here. Because I couldn't imagine doing something like that in winter, but we'll just be able to just do all of the things that Madison, the quintessential Madison things, the Union, all of my favorite little patios and bars, all of the like festivals that come out in summer, the little markets. That is the shit that I actually live for. So yes, I think that's going to be just like a special little summer here in Madison for us. So on that note, those are just a few of the things that I am excited about and looking forward to and feeling optimistic about, as you have to do. And that was kind of like a great, big, huge rose and a thorn, if you will. This whole episode kind of was. So we will wrap it there, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. I missed you terribly. I am very glad to be back, and I will be back chatting with you again next week. And that is a promise. Another cathartic convo in the books. I feel better. How about you? Thank you so much for listening. Now I just want to jump on here and say, don't forget to follow and or subscribe to the pod on your favorite streaming platform for new episodes every single week, because I know you can't get enough of me. Additionally, if you want to gain access to exclusive episodes and behind the scenes bloopers and lots of other goodies, join our Patreon and support the pod with your hard-earned American dollars. You can find the link in our show notes, or you can also visit us at patreon.com/pessimistic@best. And of course, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at pessimistic@best. And if you're as obsessed with me as I am with you, you can find me at Sam Georgeson on all platforms. And last but not least, I'd like to give a special shout out to my podcast editor and producer, the love of my life, James Arbai, whom I literally could not do this without. So thank you, James. I love you so much. And thank you guys for joining me again this week. I love you too. And I cannot wait to chat with you again soon.